Let's get ready to podcast live from Oskaloosa, Iowa. This is Just Your Average Podcast. I'm your co-host, Jared Goodman, joined always by Colton Johnson. Today we are joined by our tech man, Aaron Choopy Petrash. Choopy, thanks for joining us today. What's going on, man?
Nothing much, dude. Just enjoying this coffee and the lovely weather we're having.
Yeah, what did we got? We got like another 4 to 6 inches of snow. And I heard on Tuesday we're getting another 4 to 6 inches.
Yep. It's relentless.
Yeah, it doesn't stop, man. It gets cold. It's snowing.
I don't know, actually. I don't know if I'd rather have it freezing cold with no snow or just snow and just
I think
regular cold.
It's tough because at least like with the cold, it's not a mess. I just feel like the snow is just a big inconvenience.
You're like, you don't have to shovel, dude.
Yeah, that's true.
Wait until you shovel. That sucks.
Yeah, well.
That shoveling's the worst part, I think. It's kind of a workout, but it does suck.
Yeah, it's just an inconvenience all the way around. You drag snow into your house, your apartment. Everything's wet.
Luckily, we're not on a corner lot, though. Corner lots, man, I feel bad for those people. They got to freaking do they get twice the stuff I have to shovel.
Yeah. So, 2019 NBA All-Star Weekend's here. Last night was the skills challenge, the dunk contest. What'd you think of the dunk contest?
The dunk contest was cool. I mean, I feel like the whole thing, it's cool. Like, I definitely enjoy watching it, but it's almost like underwhelming. You know?
Yeah. Well,
like especially what happened to the skills challenge or the first one, that was weak. They literally just like dribble up the court, pass it once, dribble back down the court, dunk it, and then shoot a three.
Yeah, there were some pretty exciting finishes though in the skills tom. Jason Tatum, heaving the half court prayer.
That was pretty cool. But I'm just saying like the overall like actual like event was like or the skills challenges is kind of
it's underwhelming. It's more just for the culture of it all, having everybody together. There's celebrities everywhere. The best basketball players in the world just. I like the guys. It's mostly just guys going out there and having fun, which is definitely like a cool thing, and it's probably a very cool fan experience if you're there.
Yeah, I think I like the 3-point challenge the best. No, I mean I like the dunk contest the best probably, but the 3-point challenge is cool. I enjoy that.
Dang it, I was pulling for a man, Dirk.
Dude, that guy is the definition of moonshots. You see the arc on that? He's like literally 3 times as high as every other person.
But the dude airballed a 3 in the 3-point contest.
What are you gonna do?
Yeah, not like I can do better. I airballed freaking free throws.
Yeah, dude. The first one would be nerve right. Dude, what about the Steph Curry's dad? Steph and Seth Curry's dad going out there and shooting with the
Dell Curry.
Dell Curry.
Former Hornet.
And he had the 3 guys too that were on his team that were like they're before my time, but apparently they're all like really good shooters.
Yeah. Ray Allen was out there.
Ray Allen, I knew Ray Allen, but the other 2 guys.
I honestly was kind of. I was working on a women's basketball write-up, so I was kind of cutting in and out watching it, so I didn't really see that. But I saw like the highlight. I didn't see who it was. I just saw Ray Allen.
It was a pretty underwhelming performance, honestly. I think they only made like 8 shots or something like that out of like whatever it was, 25.
Yeah, Steph Curry though, 27 to win.
Yeah,
I mean, who would have?
He freaking made his last 10 in a row. That was pretty sweet.
Apparently, there was a bet between Seth Curry and Steph Curry that they made before the skills competition or before the 3-point competition that said whoever lost had to buy the family tickets to every game.
To every game?
What do you mean? So like they're the ones that are responsible for paying the tickets to loser.
I don't know.
So whoever loses, so Seth Curry lost.
Yes.
So now he has to.
Well, how did they both lost? But like he got further, you saying?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Like just between themselves.
So
Seth Curry is the one responsible for buying all the tickets for the family now to come to games.
Really? So every when they go watch the Trailblazers play, he has to pay for the tickets.
Yeah.
I bet you he's not doing that. No way.
Yeah.
He ain't paying for no tickets.
I know. That's true.
But
especially when you got a former NBA.
Yeah. I think, but not to bring it back up again. But they said before Dell and those guys did their like challenge or whatever, they were gonna donate like $1,000 for every shot, and they ended up like not even meeting their like requirements. So they ended up like rounding up. So they ended up like they would have like raised like $8,000 something like that, but they ended up donating more money because like they expected them to make more, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it was pretty funny.
Yeah. And then the dunk contest. I love the dunk contest. I watch it every single year. just because there's just that wow factor. You know,
realized-
what's somebody gonna do? But it's kind of hard when you don't even put the best dunkers in the dunk contest or the best athletes in the dunk contest, and you can't for many reasons. One, injuries. Two,
I mean, those dudes are pretty freak athletes. I mean, like who you just want to see the big names in it?
yeah. Like everybody wants to see, you know, LeBron James in a dunk contest. You know,
Yeah, he's past his time though. That's what they were saying last night.
Yeah.
Like,
But like, why not have him? Why wouldn't you have him in it like 3-4 years ago? But
but they just put so much miles on it. It's just like they're not trying to do it, man. They got to play in the game too, and I don't know. They want to break.
Yeah.
I think it's more fun for them to watch it, honestly.
Yeah, that and I guess it gives other guys opportunities who might not be in the All-Star game, you know, to get their All-Star moment.
That's what that's why
I thought Dennis Smith Jr. was going to win, man. That guy is one of the best in-game dunkers in the NBA, and that guy gets up, but he couldn't complete a few of his dunks. Really hurt him.
I realized too, like the skills challenge. I felt like it was kind of like it was cool because they don't necessarily use like the starters for the All-Star game, so they're all like it's like borderline guys, which was kind of cool. So like
Kuzma, Doncic,
is their way of getting in the All-Star weekend and stuff like that. So that was
Jason
cool.
Tatum.
Yeah, like all the guys that are like All-Stars, obviously good, but they're not gonna start. You know,
man, the fact that Luka Doncic is not or didn't get voted in the All-Star game is a crime. That guy is so good. That guy is so talented, and he's so fun to watch. He's like a more athletic, better like Dirk Nowitzki. Like that's obviously they just compare them to because they're on the Mavs, but Luka Doncic is the real deal, and that guy's putting up some gaudy numbers. He's putting up LeBron James like numbers compared to LeBron James rookie season.
Yeah, the dude can shoot the lights out. That's for sure.
Yeah, and he's got the new Harden step back move in his arsenal. He's been pulling out. He's pulled out a couple times the last couple of weeks, but yeah, tonight's the All-Star game. I'm picking Team LeBron. I mean, I don't know if you've seen the teams or not, but
not really, kind of, not really, but I mean, that stuff is just like a flip of the coin. I think what do? They go play like they pretty much say the fourth quarter they're gonna go all out, or not all out, but like they actually play defense. They try to win.
Yeah.
I think most of the game is pretty much just a highlight reel. It's like the Globetrotters out there, but I think they said at least last year or something. I don't remember. They said they like the last X amount of minutes or whatever, they're gonna actually like start playing defense and try to win.
Yeah, I'm curious to see how much LeBron actually plays, for the fact that he's still coming off that groin injury. He might he
won't play much.
Yeah, I mean it's ultimately his call. I doubt Magic Johnson has set any perimeters on how much, but I'm sure LeBron's smart enough to realize that.
I don't think.
I mean, the Lakers are not in a great position right now, but if they want to make they're still in a position to make a push for the playoffs, and I'm sure you're going to see the best LeBron you're going to see in the second half of the year. But he also might use it as a way to get his conditioning back. People have been saying, apparently there was a rumor that came out that LeBron, since his injury, since he really cut into his conditioning program, and he's listed at 250. They're saying right now he's playing at about 280. Because he's had to.
I feel like that would hardly be a rumor. You could see 30 pounds on the dude.
Yeah, but he just looks he looks a step slow, and he's playing somewhere around 280 pounds, which he's around 250.
That's great, dude. Speaking of LeBron, what do you got? What do you got for us, bro? Oh, the lineups.
Oh, the teams. Yeah.
So the starters Team LeBron, we got starters. You got Kevin Durant, James Harden. Oh, it's a fancy computer. It's a touchscreen. Kyrie Irving, LeBron James, and Kawhi Leonard. Then Team Giannis Ante. God, jeez, I can't say
Giannis
Antetokounmpo. Stephen Curry, Joel Embiid, Paul George, Kemba Walker.
We got the reserves here too.
Yeah.
For Team LeBron, LaMarcus Aldridge, Bradley Beal, Anthony Davis. Wink, wink. Anthony Davis.
Dude, LeBron's team is way better.
Yeah, way better.
How come they got one more dude on the other team? Interesting. Dude, that's crazy. There's some high-powered offense. There's some high-powered offense.
May I also add in there that LeBron's team is full of 2019 free agent classes, and he said there's no tampering during All-Star weekend.
Smart man.
So,
dude, speaking of LeBron though,
no tampering rules. That is, I mean, there might be some tampering.
There's absolutely.
I mean, but, I get the reason for tampering rules, but you're telling me that these guys just can't be in a giant big group message and
No, that's exactly what they are.
yeah, but how are you ever going to stop that if you're the NBA?
You're not.
That's why I think I don't.
There's 100%.
There's too many ways to communicate. So
he literally said in that interview, he's like, I recruit hard. Like he's like, absolutely. He's like, every year I've recruited hard.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, it's just ultimately up to the like just because he doesn't always get every player, but he literally said he's like, I recruit hard every year. But whatever that means. But speaking of LeBron though, well, we good?
Yeah, we're good. Okay. We're down to one
bar?
1 bar battery, but
what does that mean?
I don't know, it should be all right.
Okay. Okay, but anyway, speaking of LeBron, I watched his new show. I still got one more episode. There's only 3 episodes.
More than an athlete, right?
No. Well, yeah, he has that one, but this one's the barbershop.
Oh, the barbershop and
or the shop.
HBO
I think it's just called the shop. But yeah, on HBO, dude, it was good. It was pretty cool. It's cool seeing like it was funny. It threw me off at first because it's like LeBron's like he like cusses and stuff in and stuff, and you just see it like unfiltered, like all these athletes and stuff. I don't know. It was interesting, but it was really cool. They had like some cool conversation. They brought like a bunch of athletes in. Like I think like Odell was in it. A bunch of basketball players. They had a couple women NBA, WNBA people.
You said it's on HBO, correct?
Yeah, it's on HBO. It's pretty good. It's good. I liked it, but there's only 3 episodes out right now. I don't know if it's like he's still doing them
or it's just like a mini series he did.
Yeah, maybe a mini series, but it's cool. It's essentially like a podcast in a sense. They just
it's like a little talk show.
Yeah. Oh, Drake was on one of them too. He was like one of the main guests. That was pretty cool.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a cool show.
So, transitioning here a bit, we've kind of talked about it. Listening to the Joe Rogan podcast of this week. Andrew Yang was one of the guests. And I know that's something that we talked about before that you kind of wanted to talk about.
Yeah,
if you just want to give a little bit of background.
It was interesting. I'm not a political nut by any stretch of the imagination, and I pretty much don't know anything. But it was interesting that this dude Andrew Yang, he's running for president in 2020.
Yeah, he's
like a Democrat. But anyways, his major like thing he's trying to institute is
national
universal basic income. And
for
Americans, everyone over the age of 18, and you basically get a check. Everyone that's over 18 gets a check for $1,000 a month. And I don't know. It's like on surface, it seems kind of weird, but he just dives into it, like in the podcast, and it's like he has some really good points. I feel like, and I don't know. I'm curious to see how it's gonna play out because, like he was saying. Like one of his thing, like the biggest criticism or whatever people say is like, where's this money coming from? I think it's like they say in the podcast, it's like some godly amount of money, like $3.1 trillion or something like that, like every month or every year, whatever it was. But he says like he obviously has put a lot of thought and stuff into it, and he says like the money is essentially going to come back to you. So like everyone thinks that it's just gonna disappear, but giving these people money, it like helps the economy, and it's like it helps out these like small towns that maybe there's not as much money in the area or whatever. And he says like it's just gonna do nothing but help that town. Like that money's not gonna disappear. Like people in the town are gonna spend the money in the town, and there's like all sorts of other ways gaining revenue and stuff too, like with like big corporations. I think like Amazon was one of them. He says like all those corporations are extremely good at avoiding taxes.
Yeah, and they did. And so, I think I forgot the number. If you want to look that up, Choopy, I believe Amazon profited like some ungodly amount of money and paid a total of 0 tax dollars.
No, seriously?
Zero tax dollars. But yeah, so basically that's where the money would come from, is those big corporations like Amazon and stuff. They would take a little off the top and pay these taxes, and that would, but like he said, it's going to come back to them because people are going to spend that money, or at least a majority of it will go back to them. Because people are going to go ahead and spend that money, and of course, if Amazon's willing to take that little bit of risk, it
not
could
even
be.
I mean, they're just basically taking a hit right off the top. But it's not like it's not going to sink them like by any stretch. And you even said like honestly, they're going to see some revenue come back too because people have more money in their pocket they're going to spend. And it's just like, so it's just everything it seems to just it's like a big circle or whatever. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
everything comes around.
like you said, like on the surface, it kind of feels like a weird, almost like a socialist idea.
Yeah.
But like I don't want to get too political, but I'm not usually a fan of stuff like that, like the socialism and stuff, where the top like 1% or whatever, or that if you make over $1 million, you're gonna get taxed a crazy amount and give it to the poor. But I mean, there's other ways to do that rather than just doing that. And I think that's what this guy is doing. It's just another way to reshape the welfare system. I think everybody can kind of agree that the welfare system in America needs to be fixed or changed. It's been the same way for so long. I think it's time to take a serious look at that. And that the $1,000 is great. I mean, I was thinking about this earlier, but if you just think about an 18-year-old kid getting $1,000 a month, what he can do with that. And these days, how many 18-year-old kids on their 18th birthday are ready to move out of their parents' house to go live on their own and start life, and get in the business world and become a become a businessman. And that's something that I think can be really beneficial. Like these 18-year-old kids, okay, they get $1,000 for $1,000 a month. You can go get a roommate, you can get an apartment somewhere, and you start working. You're not gonna be able to live off that $1,000, of course, but at least it's some sort of basic to get him out there and kind of help him. And then the more people spend, the better the economy is. A spender's economy is a good economy, and a frugal economy is not a good economy.
Good. But another thing I was to say is that $1,000. He says he's like, so it's $12,000 a year, and he's like, that's not by any means enough to live off. Like you're not going to live off of $12,000. But he says what it does do is it basically takes the edge off for people, because like how many people are just under tons and tons of stress and scrutiny and all this stuff with their daily lives, and not, am I going to make rent this week? I'm going to not be able to buy food, or all this stuff, right? All this stuff that basically stems from money issues. And what it will do is basically help them take the edge off. So they know now, they automatically, no questions asked, are going to get $1,000 each month. Yeah. And I think it's pretty cool. And then he said too, like, because it was another thing too, was that like the $1,000 a month, like part of the money is the government's already, talking about like the government already gives like a pretty very high percentage of people already some sort of welfare, either between like EBTs, food stamps, or just anything, like any government
assistance.
Government assistance. And so he says if say this person receives $500 in food stamps every month, well, they're not going to get another $1,000. They're going to basically get the $500. Yeah. So it's like, so that's another way of how it's saving money in a sense too. Not saving money, but like you're not giving them an extra $1,000, which is cool. Like they're already getting some sort of assistance. Well, we'll basically give you $1,000, and whatever that means. If you don't have any other government assistance, then you get a check for $1,000. Or if you do, then you'll get a check for, if you have $800 in food stamps a month or whatever, then you get $200 extra. So it's like, I don't know, it's pretty cool. I definitely recommend listening to that podcast. And like I said, it's not even if you are like totally political and stuff and you want to educate yourself, it's a legit thing. He's running for president. So I mean, it's not like a random podcast.
Again, his name's Andrew Yang. He's running for president in 2020. He just kicked off his campaign, and
he's got a lot of cool ideas.
Yeah, he's got a lot of cool ideas. I mean, there's still he's obviously done his research too, and he's had successful. He is a businessman. He's an entrepreneur, and he's headed a couple of big organizations and turned some big profit with those organizations, as he was saying in the podcast. But there are like some drawbacks, and he recognizes that. He's talked about inflation. And how he did I believe in the podcast he mentioned about how he did his research about how it wouldn't inflate, but that's never a guarantee. Guarantee thing. And inflation's like one of the drawbacks, and obviously another drawback is people using that $1,000 for things as drugs and things that aren't going to go back to the economy, and that's another risk too. But at the same time, it also might just it might help get those people just motivated to spend, or just think about it. For the $1,000, it's not just for low income It's for everybody.
It's for everybody.
Everybody.
Literally
so
everybody.
People, businessmen, that are very wealthy, very, well off. That $1,000 might just, go into an investment, and then that's also a good thing for the economy. So it's a very interesting dynamic, I think, for an economy. And like I said, like I haven't done all my research on it per se, but I think it's an interesting idea, and we'll see where it goes. I'm not gonna say like I'm not gonna sit here and say like I'm totally bought in on it, but I think it's interesting, and if I read more on it and research more on it, I might gain some momentum more and more.
Yeah.
And there's more policies that come with being a presidential candidate as opposed to just reshaping the welfare system. Yeah. So.
Well, what's interesting too is like one of his points basically for it as well is all the technology. Like he's talking about we're literally entering and basically in a industrial revolution type deal, like another industrial revolution with technology and artificial intelligence. Yeah, and so he said, I want to say like 70%. I don't know, like I'm could be, the numbers are obviously not right. I mean, I listened to the podcast a while ago, but it's like I want to say like 70% of all jobs, all people,
manual labor,
jobs that are basically going to be inevitably taken over by AI, which is truck driving. Truck drivers, there's like crazy amount of truck drivers that takes up the working population. Yeah. So truck drivers are going to disappear with self-driving cars, obviously. Cashier work, retail stuff, like all that stuff is going to be automated. And like they're even saying some behind the office like clerical work, simple clerical work, like all that stuff is going to be taken over by basically AI. And there are like Google's already has a thing that you basically talk to a robot, but it's like almost indistinguishable from a person and a robot already. And could you imagine like in 5-10 years it's gonna be crazy. So he's like, that's another reason why like it's inevitable. Like this is happening. People like they have their heads stuck in the sand about it, whatever, and they're gonna wake up one day and oh my god, they're really like robots or whatever you want to call them. Artificial intelligence is going to take a lot of jobs away from people, and so that's another.
It already has within like the last like 50 years or so. I mean, if you think factory jobs, just making a dang car.
And that's what he said too. He's like, I don't know if you guys have ever gone into one of these big corporations warehouse, like for instance, like Amazon. He says it is literally wall to wall machinery, like robot machinery, like running everything. So it's like all those jobs are being taken. The truck drivers are gonna be gone. The Uber, like all these taxis, Uber, like all this stuff is gonna be gone and basically jobless. And so yeah, like I said, that explains a lot more in the podcast. He goes into way more depth and stuff, and obviously knowledge about it. But another thing I thought was pretty funny, just on a short note, and we'll talk about something else. But of course, Joe Rogan, he had to bring up the marijuana with marijuana. I don't know why I call it marijuana, but
pot.
Yeah, pot. Anyway, whatever. But he talks about his views on it, and he said he wants to basically pardon. I don't know if you use the word pardon, but pardon.
Decriminalize.
Well, he's basically anybody that's in prison right now for a non-violent marijuana drug offense or whatever. He's gonna pardon all of them on April 20th, 2020. It's 4/20. But
that's already in the process of being done. I think that was the first thing that got signed when Donald Trump took office was a bill that basically said, if guys have, if they're nonviolent, drug offenses, and it's not just marijuana, it's drug offenses, but if they've proved that they've been rehabilitated, if these guys are serving like a 30-year sentence, they've been in there for, 12, 15 years, and they've, been, rehabilitated, like they've, obviously people grow up and people, get out of that. When you take them out of that culture, they grow up and they realize, the important things, and
people change, man.
Yeah, there's a guy he actually brought to the State of the Union address. I don't know exactly how many years he served, but he was arrested when he was just 18, 19 years old. He was born in the ghetto, or he was raised in the ghetto, and he and he was arrested on drug charges multiple times. He ultimately locked up for a good amount of years. I think he was served something like supposed to serve like a 30 or 40 cents. I don't know. It might even been longer. But it was it's hard to say that selling drugs is nonviolent because those drugs can eventually go to kill people.
Yeah.
But he became I believe he worked. He was a man of faith. He became a man of faith, and he was I believe he became like a pastor or something like that within. He had obviously been rehabilitated. So and that was like the first person that President Trump personally went out to pardon from his prison sentence down in Florida. So I mean that's already in the works now. I think that's a great thing too. There's people that shouldn't be.
It's crazy because it's like he was saying it's like
sentences.
People are in prison for these drug charges that it's legal, literally just a state over in the United States. Like it's crazy that someone is in prison for whatever, like a marijuana charge in Florida, yet it's literally legal in California, Washington, or all these states, right? That it's literally legal, and it's like that's crazy, and it's in the United States. Like how is that's an issue? So that's like one of the reasons why. Another reason why he wanted to basically make it legal.
Yeah, so that's interesting. But I wanted to bring this up. You mentioned Uber previously, with talking about AI. My dad and I always have this conversation, but my dad always poses the question, do you think Uber became Uber what it is now, knowing that eventually, down the line, whether that's 10, 15 years from when they started, that they were going to go to driverless vehicles?
100%.
Yeah, so they did that knowing the landscape of how things are changing.
Driverless cars have that technology has been on it's just inevitable. I mean, people in the industry and people a lot smarter than you and me, and a lot more whatever. You know what I mean? And they know that that's coming. It's just a matter of time.
It's only a matter of time before Uber, releases its first driverless driverless ride-sharing program.
I think it killed somebody or something, something crazy.
I remember something happened I believe it was in Vegas. I believe I remember hearing something about something happening in Vegas last year or whatever. There was a test run, and basically the car went rogue and
So I mean, they're still working out the kinks and stuff, but it's inevitable. I mean, it's gonna happen just within next 5 or 10 years. I think we're gonna see some crazy changes.
Yeah, and Uber's obviously very smart for going and gaining that market and gaining people brand loyalty. I talk about brand loyalty a lot, and I'm a pretty brand loyalty guy. And Uber obviously has its share of the market when it comes to ride sharing and stuff. And
dude, what an idea! That's so crazy how that did not happen sooner. You kidding me? Taxis are the worst, and Uber just literally killed it with just a regular person. I mean, on paper, it's literally what you tell your kid, when you're growing up, don't get in a stranger's car, right? And that's exactly what you do when you get in Uber. You get in some random dude or chick's car and say, hey, whatever, please don't kill me. But yeah, dude, it's yeah. Carpool. Oh, Google it. So it'd be if I'm going to Des Moines, there's a dude in Pella that needs a ride too. That's kind of cool.
But yeah, did you ever get the numbers on the Amazon tax? Look it up, bro. Just type in Amazon tax, and I promise you it's gonna be the first thing that pops up on your thing.
That's crazy though. They
profited billions of dollars.
Billions and
yeah. So they profited $11.2 billion and paid a grand whopping total of $0 in tax.
I paid more taxes, and I didn't. Oh my God, that is a crime. How is that? How is that even possible? How do they do that?
What does it say there, Choop?
I mean, that just. I was wondering how many zeros Amazon was there. 800 million has paid federal taxes. Might be surprised to learn that its check to the IRS will read exactly $0. Wow. That is insane. Who's the owner? Jeff Bezos, right?
Yeah, Jeff Bezos.
Bezos. That's crazy.
Yeah.
Amazon's low to non-existent tax rate has been, I don't know what that word is. I'm not the best reader. Chided? The hell is that? By politicians raging. Sharded. Wow. Huh. That's crazy.
Yeah. Hey, speaking of AI, you see what's going on in this ad right here?
See, we're talking about Amazon, and we got some Amazon going on.
Yeah, you guys can't see this, but just artificial intelligence picking up our words right here from
dude. They
computer.
Absolutely do that. That's what these things do. They're like
your phone is the first form of artificial intelligence.
No, it is off. Oh, bummer. Our video's down. But anyways, you'll just have to listen to us. But yeah, like so if you have Siri on, like if that's like which I would say 90% of people do, it's literally listening to you. Everything you're saying. So that's cool.
I forgot what it was, but I believe there was a thing a certain amount of months ago. I can't put exactly a timeline on it, but an Alexa actually helped solve a murder.
Oh yeah, multiple murders. I think it's solved. Yeah, because an Alexa, listens to you.
The police actually went into the Alexa.
What a doiner, dude! He's gonna talk about it. That's creepy though, right? He's like talking about premeditated, man. Like he's talking about murdering someone or whatever, and the Alexa picks it up. Dude, that's some new age crap right there.
Yeah, man.
How'd you get busted, freaking Alexa? His rep is done. Idiot.
But yeah, man.
Fuck. Freaking Alexa, dude. I have an Alexa, but I never used it. So the only reason why I used it was for like checking the weather.
Yeah, Haley has one. She uses it for weather, and she uses it for Spotify stuff.
Yeah,
like
that's
that.
I literally like played music and checked the weather.
Yeah, I don't know how much she used it. When she first got it, she used it quite a bit. I don't know how much she's used it lately, but yeah. So
the problem too is everything, like I have Apple products, and then you get like an Alexa, which is Google and all this, or not. I don't even know what is Google. What is it?
Google's Alexa.
It is Google. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and so it's like it's hard to like make them compatible. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. I feel like you have to. Apple's the tech industry's got everyone by the huevos, man. Because it's like you have an Apple phone, man. Now nothing else is gonna be compatible besides Apple.
That's what I was saying, right?
Yeah. Yeah, and who doesn't have an iPhone? I think it's
Apple Watch.
Yeah. Oh, I don't want the watch, dude. The watch is too much.
I like the watch. I like it.
Feel like it's just another thing to just.
I like it for workout purposes.
Take over. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely I think it's cool for like people that work out and stuff that track like a bunch of stuff, because that's totally useful. Tracking your sleep, that's cool.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just another thing to just constantly check, and just I don't know. It's just I'm not a person that really
use it for that thing too often. Yeah. But I mean, I like it better, than the Fitbit or other smartwatches, just for the fact of its look, its customizability, and it's compatible with your iPhone. So that's the reason why I was willing to dish out a good chunk of money for it, and I use it on a daily basis. So for me, it's worth it. Like it's not just another thing to like just
soak up your time.
Yeah, soak up my time, and I guess it is nice if you're driving or something and you get an update, you don't want to look at your phone, and you just take a quick look down at your watch, see if it's important, and
it's fair enough. I mean, I'm not saying it's not useful or anything. I'm already a person that doesn't like to be on their phone that much, or like I don't know, but whatever.
Speaking of, screen time was down 9% from last week.
9%. Yeah, I don't know. I every once in a while I'll check that. Let's see.
Let's check it.
Your screen time was down 16% last week for an average of 2 hours and 3 minutes a day.
Yeah, let me check my my stats. Last 7 days.
You just swipe up on the thing. It's like open your screen and swipe up. Oh, not swipe up.
So my last
like click on this, like swipe up from the screen. Oops, what's going on, bro? Like that. Yeah. Pull up like your little notifications and scroll down.
No, open your phone. Open your phone, Choopy.
Oh, yeah. Whatever. I don't know.
Open your phone and swipe to the left. Go all the way to the left. Okay, now go down. Go down.
Down. He doesn't have it. Oh, there it is.
Yeah, click on it. So
what's your average?
4 hours and 16 minutes a day.
4 hours and 16 minutes a day.
Yep.
Yeah. I mean, you are on your phone a lot more with like your work purposes, but let me see. Let's see what my
Twitter
average is.
takes up a majority of my time, 6 hours and 28 minutes.
I can't
total.
find it. Oh, there it is. Screen time.
But that's because I'm tweeting for my job. Yep, you heard that right. Part of my job description is tweeting.
Yeah.
I tweet updates for William Penn
mine
University
is-
Sports. So
I don't know what it is. Whatever.
41 minutes.
That's today though.
Oh, interesting.
Wow, man, it will not stop snowing, huh? Holy smokes!
Yeah, it's not stopping. But another podcast I thought was interesting was obviously the
Great Debate.
Yeah, the great debate, the pot debate. Basically, he had on two experts in their respective areas. One was an expert that
He was a doctor from Canada, right?
yeah, he was a doctor from Canada,
A family physician.
family physician that prescribes holistic ways of
He's literally a cannabis doctor. Like that.
yeah,
was,
but he has other he explained at the very beginning he had other holistic ways
okay.
of treating certain things. But yeah, he's a cannabis doctor, and he had on another expert who couldn't be more opposite. He was completely against marijuana. I thought both had very interesting.
He was an author, right? He was the author of a book like Parents Tell Your Children or something like that, whatever it's called.
Tell him about the dangers of smoking marijuana. And
yeah.
But I mean, I thought both brought up interesting points, and I thought Joe Rogan did a very good job of seeing both. And the biggest thing that I took out of it was the point that two guys that are at the complete ends of the spectrum about a subject, obviously both had very, very good
respected people.
They're
in
very
their
well
fields.
respected, and they both had done their research, and they're both have their things that they believe, but they could sit there and they can actually have a conversation about things without wanting to rip their head off or calling one thing another, calling somebody a racist or calling somebody.
I haven't listened to the whole thing yet. I got sidetracked the other day when I was watching it, but I noticed the dude that was the author, I can't think of his name, the guy that was basically against and he actually goes and says he's not anti-cannabis. He's basically just he was just stating the negatives of it, which is it's not completely, it does have some negatives, but anyway, I thought he was a lot more like resistant to a lot of things. I felt like he was trying to in fairness,
he's just sticking to his agenda, trying to sell his.
But in
his
fairness,
book.
he was basically 2-on-1. Like obviously Joe and the other doctor were pro for it. But that's the thing too. I like Joe. Like he's super understanding and like open-minded. Like he does see the other guy's views or whatever. But you know what I mean.
And he agreed a couple times with his views, especially when it came to certain like mental or like medical disorders and stuff like that. But I thought it was interesting. But like I said, I thought the most important thing that I could have took out of that was that two guys who are complete opposites sit in a room across from each other and actually hash things out. And I think if more people did that today, we'd get a lot more stuff accomplished, and there would probably be a greater respect amongst other things, and especially within this crazy political climate that we're in.
We're just stuck with basically everyone's got to be on a team, and it's in the political world, it's the Democrats and Republicans, and if you're not on this team, then screw you. And if you're, you know what I mean, like, and so basically our society makes you choose these teams, and you have to like hate the other team.
Yeah,
you know what I mean?
And you have to.
It's just not a winning formula. In the long
it's
run.
not, and
it just divides us.
Yeah, it divides people, especially people that when it. I do think a majority of people, most people are somewhere in the middle. And I think if somebody took a test, this is just my personal opinion, and take from it what you want. But my personal opinion is that if you handed somebody like a test, like 100-question test, and they filled it out, kids that are our age, getting to their mid-20s, I think if you gave them something to fill out, and there was no indication of what policy was which sides are Democratic or Republican. I think you would find that that a lot of people, especially our age, are somewhere probably middle right-ish. I would say somewhere.
You think middle right? I would say middle left.
I would say.
Well, I don't know. It's just
right.
another thing too. Is just the area, like out here, like in the Midwest or whatever. You're gonna lean a little bit more on the right side, typically speaking. And that's stereotyping.
I just think. I just think
back west or back home in California, it's a very, very liberal state.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. If you took all that out of the equation, you just hand them basically a sheet, not knowing listing, what policy or what idea was on which side.
Yeah, you just said, are you for this? Check. Or are you against this? Yeah. I mean, they have those tests, I think. But I think the majority of people are somewhere right in the middle. I mean, they might lean one way a little bit or whatever, you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Which is normal. You can't be right in the middle on everything. But I don't know. Yeah, I just think
I feel like kids of our age, not younger. I'm talking about like, kids from let's say
your 20s and 30s.
Let's say 23 to 33. So that 10-year span, I would think that especially because that's usually the age these days where people, start making money, paying taxes.
It's just a different. It's just a new generation. Like that's the thing. Like, and it's interesting because, like I once thought I was like, man, why aren't politicians and these great, like these big time leaders and not leaders, but like the Congress and all these people making the rules, they're all old people, not older people, like old that. It's not necessarily their. It's a different world. Like they grew up in different times, and so they're stuck thinking this. I'm not saying our ways or whatever are always right, and there is some like something to say for like they have more knowledge in things. Obviously, a life experience. They've been there, done that type of thing, but it's a new generation in some things, and it's like why wouldn't you get someone, obviously a smart, educated person that actually gets it. But why wouldn't you have them in there too? Like, you mean to get different views? Yeah. It's like, because like I said, they grew up this like a long time ago or whatever. Yeah, Times have changed, man.
Yeah, that's just not the way.
And then on the same spectrum, if it stays the same, when we're 60 years old or whatever, and we're in Congress, then our views are going to be all weird, and the people growing up are going to be like, dude, what the heck are you guys talking about? Times have changed. Like, so it's just a vicious cycle, but I don't know. I was thinking about it.
Unfortunately, that's just not the way our system is set up.
It's
because
weird, right?
Because you have to, just like any sort of business or anything, you do have to pay your dues. I mean,
yeah, of course, I get that, and that's what I'm saying. Like there's something to say like that you need to be older,
and you need to have a little more experience, especially with making certain things.
Absolutely. But I'm just saying, you need at least sprinkle some in there. You know what I mean? Like I don't know.
Yeah,
just get some views. I think getting different views is healthy, man. When you get the same, you just get a bunch of yes men or whatever, and you don't see any other views or sides of things. It's dangerous, man.
Yeah, and I think you're starting to see the presidential candidates, especially now the ones that are coming out now. I mean, who knows which ones are going to be there at the end of the day.
Isn't there some chick from like New York,
Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez? She's like pretty young,
super young, right? She's like 23 or something like that.
I don't know about that young, but she's gonna.
I thought she was in her 20s.
She's gonna run for president. I forgot what the age limit is.
Oh, president, and she's not that young because president is 35 years old.
Yeah, she's got some.
I thought she was running for like a government or not government, like a governor or like council member. Something like that.
She's 29 years old.
29 years old. So, yeah, she's in her 20s. That's freaking young, dude. But like that, like why? Like where are those people? There's 20-year-old, like 25-year-olds, 20, like that are very, very educated and smart people. Why? Where's their chance? Like, you know what I mean? I don't know. But
yeah,
I don't know enough about politics. What am I talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, man. I have a love-hate relationship with politics. Like, for a while, I keep telling myself, all right, I'm going to stay away. I'm not going to read this stuff. But at the same time, some things just pull me in, man. And I like to read about it. I think it's something that, people should be like well-versed in, because the older I get, I should say, you should be more well-versed in politics, depending on what you believe or not. But I try to. There's times where there's obviously some crazy stuff going on. I just try to stay away from it because I'm so sick of hearing about it.
I don't know, dude. Like I was thinking about it the other day too. I was like, oh man, like listening to the Joe Rogan podcast, he gets such a vast audience, audience too, but like people he talks to in interviews, like from politicians to comedians to and everywhere in between. You know what I mean? Like scientists, like renowned scientists, all this stuff, right? And a lot of times he does talk about politics and whatever, and kind of changing the world and what his views or whatever. But anyways, where was I going with that? I can't remember.
I think what you're trying to say is Joe Rogan should run for president.
Well, no. He even says, he's like, no, I'm not going to do it. But damn, what was it? I had a good point, man. And I completely just lost it.
Well, it's gone.
Let
me know when you get it back.
Damn it, dude. I was about to shock the world right there.
But
oh well.
Yeah, but switching subjects here a little bit. Yeah, baseball is back. Spring training, pitchers and catchers reported earlier this week. Games already start next weekend, man. Spring training games, so
really?
So that's exciting. And then Bryce Harper and Manny Machado
they're still unsigned. So what's going on? They're not going to report anywhere. Or do they? Or is he still with the Nationals?
No.
He's literally unsigned.
They're both unsigned. They're unsigned. There has been talks in the recent days about talks heating up with Bryce Harper and the Phillies. It's basically just who's going to offer him the biggest and longest contract. Here's the issue, and I see both sides of the coin in this issue, but basically what's going to happen is that it could happen this season, it could happen next season, but the current CBA which is basically the agreement between the MLB and the MLBPA, the MLB Players Association, and basically they say what the owners are trying to do because of the luxury tax. Everyone wants to stay under the luxury tax now because they're finding out it's not worth it to overpay and pay for this luxury tax. Yeah. And so what they're saying now is that the owners and the GMs are kind of getting together, and they're pretty much blackballing, or they're trying to lower the price of these free agents. So they don't want anybody to get the $350, $400 million contract, because that pretty much is going to guarantee you're going to be over the luxury tax.
Absolutely, yeah.
If you're going to be competing. So they're saying that they're kind of blackballing, superstars like Bryce Harper and Manny Machado, to lower the price, basically, to force them to take the pay cut, yeah. And so, nobody, the players haven't budged yet. So,
dude, I wonder, that'd be crazy, right? They start the season and Manny Machado, Bryce Harper aren't even signed.
That's what I was saying last week. I said last week that I don't think they would be in the opening day lineup on opening day, and I think that would force a lot of players' hands to either lock out or just lock out, and which would not be good for baseball. But at the same time, knowing this, the players knew this was going to happen when they agreed to these terms. I mean, this was an agreement that was made. I don't know what year it was agreed. I think it's like every 4 years it's like every 6 years. I think they have to agree on a new agreement, a new CBA, collective bargaining agreement is what CBA is. But so they knew what they were getting into when this happened. I thought they kept thinking the money was going to go up, but when they implemented the luxury tax, that was a big blow to these players getting these big contracts like Bryce Harper and Manny Machado. But I see both sides of the coin. But at the end of the day, it's a collective bargaining agreement. Both sides agreed to these things, and you're gonna have to deal with it. And I can understand where Manny Machado, supposedly the White Sox offered him a 7 or 8 year deal worth $250 million, and if you think about it, I think it was in 2003 Alex Rodriguez signed a 10-year $250 million deal. So you're not getting all that much more, and the money's done nothing but go up. So you're basically getting a deal that was a deal 15 years ago.
Yeah, they feel cheated.
They feel
rightfully so
cheated
in a way, but it's I mean, I don't. Who knows?
People like to say, "Oh, these guys are spoiled. Just take your money and play."
Yeah, you're arguing between $200 million and 200 or $300 million and $400. It's like, Jesus Christ, man! It's $300 million. It's more than enough forever. But,
yeah. So,
but no, I mean, I get it.
it's business.
It is
when it
business.
comes down to it, it's business, and
it's
both sides are gonna want, what's best for them.
Yeah. And athletes have a short period of time where they can get their money. And I mean,
I never knock a guy for.
Yeah.
I think it's cool when you do see a guy who's super content. Like you always bring up Jared Weaver about how he took less money to stay with the Angels.
Yeah, they take the hometown discount.
But I never ever disagree with a
their
guy
right.
going out and getting his
it's
money.
It's their right. And like I said, like especially athletes in general, other sports. I mean, each sport has their basically their period where they can get paid.
Yeah.
Like football's a very small gap,
and
just obviously because the sport itself is so rough on the body. But they have a certain amount of time where they can get their paycheck, and I mean, I think
you always hear about people. Are these guys worth $300-400 million? The question is, my answer is, for a guy like Bryce Harper or a guy like Manny Machado, especially if Manny Machado chooses to go to a smaller market team like the White Sox, but for Bryce Harper, that guy's going to pay for himself. At the end of the day, that guy's going to put people in the seats,
butts in seats,
man. And especially if he goes to a team,
people in the team shop.
Exactly. Put people in the team shop that he's going to sell jerseys. He's probably going to have one of the number one selling jerseys in baseball. He's going to put people in the seats, and you're telling me that that's not going to pay for itself. It pays for itself because a team would not pay that money unless they knew that they were going to see a profit out of it.
Of course.
That's what people I think have to understand when they're saying, "Oh, is he worth $300-400 million?" The answer is absolutely yes. I think those guys are worth it.
I don't think an organization. I mean, I don't know. But
those guys have analytic guys.
I would have to imagine that no organization has ever taken a hit or lost money for signing some dude for.
Yeah.
Like even the Angels when they signed Pujols and Hamilton, all these, and basically outside of Pujols panned out, but like Hamilton was a total bust. All this, they signed these big name dudes. That guy still made buttloads of money. Like he didn't lose money on that deal.
It can hinder the success of a team.
Yeah, but as far as money goes, I don't know. It's just, and you can see it. Some GMs are willing to pay the money, like the Dodgers and Yankees, all these teams that are in it every year, and then some teams are not, like the freaking Angels. Like they refuse to not get a guy. And they just try to, I don't know. And that's what ultimately kills a team, is because then you lose your fan base. They go, screw this. It
sucks. It kind of sucks when you're in a position as an Angel fan because you know that they're gonna be up there in attendance every year no matter what, just because of the location. But at the same time, you want to see a winning product out there. And you talk about the Dodgers. The Dodgers have gone kind of frugal here this spring training, I think, and I understand why. Everybody said when they made that big trade with the Reds where they got rid of Yasiel Puig, Matt Kemp,
Puig.
Well, yeah, I said.
Oh,
Yasiel,
yeah, my bad.
They got rid of those guys trying to free up a space, possibly for Bryce Harper. Yeah. Instead, they went and got AJ Pollock, who's a former All-Star. He's a good player when he's on the field. He's had his injury issues, but I understand why they didn't go and spend all that money on Bryce Harper, and the reason is that in a few years you're going to have to sign guys like Corey Seager and Cody Bellinger, who are Walker Buehler, guys that are going to be coming off their rookie contracts, and they're going to have to sign. Those guys are going to sign mega deals too.
There's so much more that goes into it than just what we're like talking. You know what I mean? Like they have.
And I also heard an interesting rumor just talking about the Dodgers that they're gearing up to make a run at Nolan Arenado next year when he's a free agent. Nolan Arenado just actually got a record.
That's what I'm saying. Like
he cut a record arbitration deal. I think he got 1 year, $26 million.
Yeah, but that's what I'm saying. Like teams like that, the Dodgers, the Yankees, all these teams, they're always in like the talks of getting these huge guys. Like because their owners they spend money to get teams. They want to win, and you know what I mean.
The pressure is also there's also more pressure on them to win. I would say being in the big markets.
Yeah, well they do, and they're historical franchises, but still like it just. You could see which ownerships want to win, and others that are just collecting a paycheck.
And the ones that actually are, they're willing to maybe take that. They're willing to take the risk of take the hit to their paycheck.
Yeah.
Which I don't think will ever happen. But they're willing to at least roll the dice a little bit and see. But got talked about arbitration, dude. Talk about something brutal, man. Going to arbitration. So for you guys that don't know what arbitration is exactly, basically. You go to a judge. The team is one side. the player is the other, and they have to go and basically come to a middle ground on what you think this guy's worth.
Yeah.
And basically,
and it always works out for the player, doesn't it?
Sometimes
Like the players kind of like
no.
it. The ownership doesn't like to necessarily go to arbitration, especially with certain players.
Yeah, I don't know.
Like
I
a
don't
guy
know
like
if
Mike
the
Trout,
players-
if he went to arbitration, it'd be all over.
Oh well, yeah, he would get his money. But I'm talking about like
Yeah.
the average,
Yeah,
the average baseball player,
Yeah.
who's a great baseball player, obviously,
like
a great like a
the
really
relief
good
pitcher
piece.
or whatever.
Yeah, but he's a good piece. He's a valuable piece of that team, and he deserves to make his money.
Yeah.
But then you have to turn around. And you have to hear your team, your
Yeah,
GM
basically say, nope, I don't
Yeah.
think you're worth that. Or
yeah,
whatever.
exactly. And
Put a
that-
price
that-
on your
that-
head.
That is brutal.
Yeah.
That's got to be brutal.
That's a shot to the gut right
Yeah,
there.
and
It
I'm
could
sure
potentially be.
I'm sure they go into it thinking,
Yeah, you imagine.
know,
I'm
no.
I want 100 million. I think I'm worth $100 million, and the guy's like, dude, you're worth about 50,000, bro.
yeah,
So
they
just calm down,
they
all
talk
right?
about yeah, but yeah, it's brutal. You basically have to go in there and hear your team talk crap on you, and
Yeah.
about why you're not worth a certain amount of money, and you're probably fighting over $500,000 to $1 million, and that could be life changing for some guys. I mean, you can call it what you want, like guys that are avoiding arbitration, $1 to $2 million. That's a big difference in
Absolutely,
somebody's
man,
life,
absolutely.
and especially these guys, they have families and stuff that they want to set up for life, and that's their right. But I just think it's kind of hard to.
What do you got?
That says I keep hearing there's a lot of momentum and traction here on Harper going and signing with the Philadelphia.
Yeah, they're saying that.
Phillies
They're
are a
saying
front runner for Harper.
Harper's gonna go to the Phillies,
That'd
which would be
interesting.
it'd be interesting for them. And I would hate to see him go to another National League team just because
Don't get to see
the
him play.
the Phillies.
Oh yeah, you're a Dodger fan.
Yeah, the Phillies will that'll put him in a pretty good position, I think, to compete in the NL. They got a good young team, and just adding Harper in there, I think it's going to be even more brutal for the Washington Nationals fans that have to go play him
Yeah.
a ton of times a year.
Right.
But yeah, that's about an hour's.
Yeah,
hour's worth
that's
of
a
discussion.
good one today. We could
But,
wrap it up.
All right, guys. Well, thank you for listening. This was Just Your Average Podcast, episode 4. Thank you to our producer, Aaron Petrash, helping us out here today.
Appreciate it, brother.
For Colton Johnson, I am Jared Goodman, and see you guys next Sunday.
Peace out.